So, what really crashed in the New Mexico desert way back in 1947? Today, we're going to deconstruct one of the most famous and, most controversial UFO stories ever, the Roswell Incident. Let's get into it. Okay, so our story kicks off on July 8, 1947. This is the day the Roswell Army Airfield in New Mexico drops a press release that was so completely stunning, it literally made headlines all around the globe.
And this was it. This was the headline that went out to the entire world. Think about this. For the first and, believe it or not, the only time in its history, the U.S. government officially says, yep, we've got a flying saucer.
But the excitement did not last long. At all. We're talking just a few hours later, the military bigwigs call a press conference and just completely flip the script. They claim that all that mysterious debris, that was just a regular old weather balloon. Nothing to see here.
And right there, with that immediate contradiction, the seeds of a massive mystery were planted. People were left wondering for decades, which story was the real one?
All right, so let's fast forward a bit. We're going to see how this basically forgotten news story from 1947 didn't just pop back up, it absolutely exploded into the global phenomenon we know today.
So, for more than 30 years, Roswell was just nothing. A historical footnote, basically forgotten. But that all changed. It changed when the one guy who actually recovered the debris, Major Jesse Marcel, came forward with this bombshell claim. The government lied. It was all a cover-up.
And Marcel, he was absolutely adamant about this. He insisted over and over that the material he found was not from this world. He said that the boring old weather balloon wreckage they showed to the press, that was a switcheroo, a fake-out to hide what they really found. And it's his testimony, plus a few others, that really gave birth to this incredible legend. People started describing these materials with properties that just seemed impossible. They talked about a foil-like memory metal that would unfold itself if you crumpled it. Balsa wood-like I-beams that were super light but you couldn't burn them or cut them. And get this, strange purplish hieroglyphic symbols on them. Some stories even talked about recovering small alien bodies from a whole other crash site. It's an amazing story, right? It's captivated millions. But what if there's a much more down-to-earth explanation for all this strange stuff the witnesses were describing?
Yeah, let's really dive into this, because it turns out declassified government records have revealed a top-secret military project that was happening at the exact same time in the exact same place. Coincidence?
It was called Project Mogul, and this was a Cold War spy program that was so secret, most people in the military didn't even know it existed. The whole point was to use these massive high-altitude balloons to try and listen for the sound waves from Soviet atomic bomb tests all the way on the other side of the planet.
Now, we need to be clear here. This was not your average single weather balloon. A Project Mogul array was this enormous 600-foot-long train of balloons, all strung together. It was carrying sensitive listening devices, and this is my favorite part. It had these kite-like radar reflectors that were literally built by a toy company.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. When you put the alien evidence side by side with the Project Mogul materials, things start to line up almost perfectly. So those strange hieroglyphs? Well, the tape used to build the radar reflectors had these pinkish floral patterns on it. Those unbreakable I-beams? They were just the lightweight balsa wood frames from those reflectors. And the memory metal foil? You guessed it, foil-backed paper from the very same reflectors. Suddenly, it all starts to sound a little less alien, doesn't it?
So, if Project Mogul seems to explain everything so neatly, piece by piece, then why? Why is the alien story still so much more popular today than it's ever been?
Well, you really have to remember the context here. The Roswell legend didn't just grow in a vacuum. It absolutely exploded in what you could call a perfect cultural storm. You had growing distrust of the government after things like Vietnam and Watergate. You had decades of sci-fi movies and TV shows making alien crashes feel, well, totally plausible. And then there's just the power of an eyewitness story and our own human need to believe in something bigger.
And it's a powerful idea. In fact, get this, a 2012 survey found that a whopping 77% of Americans believe that aliens have visited Earth. 77%! That just shows you how deeply this idea is woven into our culture.
So really, the story of Roswell isn't just about what crashed, it's about what we choose to believe. And that leaves us with two really powerful competing narratives. On one side, you've got a government cover-up of alien visitors. On the other, a government cover-up of a top-secret spy program. Either way you slice it, something was definitely being hidden.
So where does that leave us? Is the real conspiracy here not about hiding a spaceship but about something deeper, about our own powerful and maybe even essential need to believe in something extraordinary? Maybe the real story of Roswell isn't about what fell out of the sky, but about why we keep looking up in the first place.